It's me. Okay, so I watched the next two episodes of Quantum Leap, just blew through them real quick. I did take notes for various things. I'm gonna preface all of this. I'm starting to enjoy this show. I'm starting to enjoy how they're calling out previous, not calling it out, but like there's certain little homages. And I feel like just because Quantum ran so long or whatever, maybe they're not deliberate homages, but they're kind of like dipping back into, what they had there. The cool thing about this, though, is that they're adding a more real world example, like a more current version of what they did back then. And then I like how they're also keeping it a little bit more scientific in nature. So one of the things with Quantum Leap, when I watched it when I was younger, I feel like I had so much more faith in, God and all that other shit when I was younger. As an adult, I'm a little bit more pragmatic, and I don't want to say atheist, I'm more agnostic when it comes to this. But I have a concern that, I don't want my TV shows telling me to believe in God in any way, shape, or form, because I'm just not, please don't. I'm not into that. Let me believe whatever it is I want to believe, but I'm more scientific, based in that, and I think we're similar in that aspect. I know that you're definitely, more atheist than I am, but yeah, it's just, I liked it. So I'm gonna start with O Ye of Little Faith. So I did obviously they did this one for Halloween. I think it was on Halloween, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. It was on Halloween. And we went back to a religious weirdness episode, which I'm pretty positive we did one as well, with where we're fighting with the devil and stuff like that. And Sam, devil being Al with red eyes or some shit like that. That one was so fucking hokey, and that's why I loved it so much. But I'm pretty sure we did a religious weirdness episode. I will say I'm actually in this context alone, I am okay with him being like, oh hell no. That's probably the only time I've ever enjoyed that. I don't want oh shit. I do notice he's been saying here we go a lot more, and I'm okay with here we go. But do not go, oh shit. And I liked it. Like I said, in this instance, I liked, oh hell no. Because it kind of, went with the whole devil thing or whatever. And then it was weird and creepy and stuff. So I was kind of into the campness of it. I did feel like this episode was definitely an homage to it tried to be an homage to The Exorcist in some areas, The Shining, The Ring, and stuff like that. So I did enjoy that. Early on in our conversations, we were talking about how we're not super into the crew. The crew is growing on me. Over time, the crew is definitely growing on me. Ian is my jam in all of this. I don't know why I enjoy him as much as I did. For some stupid reason, when he put on the ears and he was like, I put them on for emergencies. I was like, I snot laughed out of nowhere. You know what I mean? It seemed like the most ridiculous, dumb thing, but it spoke to his personality, so I enjoyed it more. We talk about this very often, about the necessity of the Watcher. Whatever, I don't remember what it is that Al's official title was the Helper, the Watcher, whatever the fuck he was. But it's interesting that pretty much Addison could not help for any of this sleep at all. And instead we just got some more time with her in the back, talking to Jen. I'm gonna try to remember her stupid name now. Jen, about what was going on, and the cute little vision board conversation and stuff like that. About faith in general. Like I said, I liked that we're having faith, but more faith in people and ourselves than faith in, the invisible daddy issues. So I kind of liked that we did that back with the people at home instead of, succumbing to whatever. I did find it funny that Ian's the people of Reddit, and you were like, of course this is a thing, you know what I mean? Because Reddit is a pool of randomness. I find that if I look up something on the internet, Unsolved Mysteries, for example, I was totally into the reboot, and I was rewatching some of the old ones. there's like an entire Unsolved Mysteries Reddit that's like fantastic and also deeply harrowing. But like you can find random shit like that on Reddit. So it amuses me that like, when he can't find what he wants to, he searches Reddit. So I was like, wow, that's sure. Let's go with that. I do want to tell you, I did think that the alcoholic guy was a bad guy from the beginning with, because we always find that. We always find like the alcoholic is the bad guy. I actually thought we were going down the Munchausen by proxy area. I thought we were going down that road, but ultimately just, it turns out that her mom is, was miserable and just wanted to kill her anyway and just get the money. But I definitely knew that the alcoholic guy was like the problem to begin with. Like I said, I like the crew more with what they're doing with it, because this episode did not have as much Ernie Hudson as I would like, but, shit happens. I have to say, of all, like, this whole entire episode, there was one thing that I really enjoyed with it, and it was Ben talking to the man in the mirror, whoever he leaped into. They did some very clever editing where it was like, it's almost like he was speaking to the priest, because, it would cut to the priest and the priest would have like a pensive look or whatever, or a thoughtful look. And they just did nice editing with that. I actually enjoyed that whole little scene. And like, he did so much with like talking to nothing and like, the pacing of that. Like I said, that to me was probably the best scene in the whole entire episode. I thought it was interesting. I did find Janice's appearance very ominous. There's a few things in there that, like, the science in me was not believing. Like, wasn't there a point in time when, like, the chick rose off the bed? Like, eventually in the next episode, we explain, the demon that we saw as it being Janice, trying to appear and stuff like that. But at one point, the girl appeared on the bed. So, like, they did explain the Jimson weed thing. But, like, Jimson weed just knocked out Ben, but it legitimately, like, hurt the other chick and made her, like, rise on the bed. Like, it just seemed, like, I don't know. My brain got a little, like, that part didn't make sense to me. And then how did you quietly get Aunt Tessa into the room and on top of the dresser and shit like that? I appreciate that, the dude came in, but, like, dead people be heavy, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't imagine he was like just with no problem. I don't know, it just seemed like there was just parts of it that it was like trying to suspend disbelief, and I was just like, okay, we're either steering super into the faith thing or we're steering super into the science thing. We cannot do both, you know what I mean? Because, gravity. So that was just the only part that I kind of got stuck with the whole thing. If I do tell myself, like, she didn't really rise in the bed, instead it was that Ben was poisoned and he was hallucinating that, and that's, maybe I can get into that. But it just didn't seem right. So that's just my thought. Overall, I thought it was a good Halloween episode. It definitely had callbacks to that other, religious weirdness episode we saw in the past. I feel like we did an exorcism one before, didn't we? I'm pretty sure. With original and stuff. But anyway, I liked it. I thought it was cute. The Janice thing at the end was ominous AF. Like, trying to warn you. They're finding, they're gonna come for you or whatever. It's like that. Like, fuck. And of course, she was the reason why they're all, like, weirded out and not... Like I said, the part of me, the episode when I was in it seemed a little long, but I do like the pacing of the explanations. Like, they didn't just go ahead and, like, they gave me time to, like, maybe this is why that happened, and then, like, maybe this is why that happened. So, like, she couldn't get in and the lights flickered and stuff like that because of the competing imaging chambers. So, like, I like that they gave me time with that, basically. So that's my thought with that. So now Stand By Ben, obviously a play on Stand By Me. Originally, I gotta tell you, when I first started watching this episode, I thought that it was going to be, like, a straight camp instead of a fucked youth camp that it turned into. Don't get me wrong, they're both, both those thoughts are evil, but, like, once they started talking about the box, I was like, fuck. Didn't they have, like, the box in, Shawshank Redemption? Which, like, even then, that was, like, a fucked thing to think about, like, as a human being, like, a human being in a box in the heat, like 100 degrees and stuff like that. Um, One thing that didn't really work for me with that episode is that, Ben is supposed to be played by someone with Asperger's. And I think that the way that they try to work through that was Ben talking to imaginary Addison and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not an authority on Asperger's by any stretch of the imagination, but like I don't feel like he truly encompassed someone with Asperger's, or like someone might have thought that like this is odd behavior for you. I don't know, just a thought. Like it just was weird how they did that. I did like how quickly we went ahead and explained the demon thing. Big fan of that, because I was like, that was, like I said, that was one thing that was echoing in my brain. I was so glad that we resolved it in this, and we were like, oh yeah, it wasn't like, it was like the Ring, it looked like, but it wasn't really the Ring. It was just like projectors that were acting funny and stuff like that. So I thought that was cool. I'm gonna save that last thought for the end. Jen's dad or whatever. Why do I give a fuck about that story? I mean, I appreciate that, he's whatever. I'm sure we'll meet him and he'll be someone from the Asian American community that we'll love. But that would be cool. But I don't know why that needed time as it did. And I guess it's just supposed to help us, like it's supposed to, give her layers, because we haven't really done anything with her yet, except for, her being in the background and her being Ernie Hudson's bitch. I don't know, just thought about that. I do like that a lot of the discussion happened around like discarding kids who have emotional disorders. And I don't feel like it's emotional disorders. It's just management. And like, I felt bad for the little girl who, her parents are super religious and that she's gay, and like that was the problem. The girl whose mother died, and that was a problem. And like, all these kids, you know what I mean? Like horrible, like they didn't need a Scared Straight program. They needed parents to like guide them and like help them with everything that was going on. So I don't know, it enraged me for the kids a lot. I was, as a mother, I was pissed at all of their parents. I was like, you motherfuckers, abandoning your kids to this fucking hellhole, you fucking pieces of shit. Can we leap into like your parents and slap them or something? Can we do that? I was very angry with the parents of these kids in this, because they're not bad kids. They're just, they're all dealing with shit. So there's that. I did laugh out loud with the growling hysterically thing. And like, nobody ever like does that on like television, and I actually was like appreciative of the fact that they were doing it. Now, if this is a bear that they saw, that shit would not work as well as they think it did, but because they're like, wolves, we'll give it some credit. But it was just funny watching everybody like hurrah, and I was like, that must have been so stress relieving, you know what I mean? To like, when's the last time you were able to have a really good scream or growl at something? I feel like that must have relieved like so much like tension and frustration in them. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, hurrah! As a fun little side note, whenever my kids or I are having a bad day, I play Katy Perry's Roar in my car, and I turn the volume up. And there's a part in the middle of the song, I don't know how familiar you are with it, where she just basically starts, roar, 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 and like that's like our roaring. And like for some reason, we all feel better after that. Like we all giggle after we're done with our roaring. So like, yes, therapeutic for growling. Yeah, no, the box really bothered me, because the box very much, like, it already bothered me when we were in Shawshank Redemption, but imagining that, like, teenage kids, like 15, 16, 14, 13-year-old kids, anybody being in a box like that is fucked. You know what I mean? It just feels yucky. I was feeling Ben when he was like, this can't be the leap, like, while watching or whatever, and then, I feel like if they had taken that for an extra beat, I might have really started feeling it more. But because like I started feeling like his frustration with it, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh look, a pipe! Let's go to the cabin! Yay! I also find it hard to believe that I understand that like the house, the cabin is not charted, but like, Has no one walked those woods? Is there not helicopters or planes or like Google Earth or anything like that? Like, you got to find something there. Like, I don't buy it. That it's not there. The internet and the satellites and all that good stuff doesn't let me buy that, like, this doesn't exist. Yeah. Yeah, I actually, I thought it was cute, the like, little, let's shut down the camp thing. Big fan of that, because I was totally like, yes, fuck this thing. And then let's keep, let's have it pay forward. I do like that there was one adult that they could trust, and being the uncle, because, it's very difficult for, like, to be like, sure, there's any adults, like, we can't, fuck them adults, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's, awful to have these kids not have anybody aside from each other that they can trust. I like the concept of, again, Stand By Me. We were here with where, let's keep in touch and stuff like that. Friends for life. I do like that the ending had the boy and the girl didn't end up together. Love that. Because it's like, it doesn't really happen that much. It's similar to the ending for The Wonder Years. I like that kind of stuff. But to the meat and potatoes of this. So he's finally remembering Janice. Now, remember, they kept talking about how it's dangerous for him to remember all that stuff. And I was like, fuck if it's dangerous. He needs to, like, remember. And it's nice that he's starting to remember the conversation. But it pisses me off that we ended the episode with, like, I have to save you. Like, what? What do we have to fucking save? Like, can you explain that? And I appreciate we're at a mid-season finale and we have to keep it cryptic as fuck. And I think it's coming back January 2nd. But, like, for what? Can you see the future? Is she seeing the future? That was something that I'm really interested in, like, Janice doing. Like, excuse me. We keep hinting at the future. Like, can her magic machine see the future? Because the future ain't happened yet. Like, again, what are we doing in the future here? Because the future is just so... And with Doctor Who, like, wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey. Like, in Doctor Who, there's no future and there's no past. It's just all one big thing. So, like, I never really think about the future. But in Quantum Leap, we actually do think about the future. Because right now, I live in now. I don't live in the future. You know what I mean? So, it's just interesting to think about, like, did they magically find a way to peek into the future and find out that some crazy shit happens for Addison? I'm wondering if Addison is the person that we find in the future. I'm wondering if we're finding Addison's killer. I'm wondering if we're finding Addison's family members. Now it's like, okay, it all comes back to Addison now. It does make sense that, of all of the selfish reasons that he would jump, it would be for Addison. He necessarily wouldn't jump for Janice to, like, save her dad or to save Sam and stuff like that. But he would definitely jump to save Addison. So I'm not as angry at him now if, like, that's the legit truth. Like, I appreciate it. Having said all of that, when the fuck are we going to see Sam Beckett, goddammit? We need to see Sam Beckett. In this season, preferably, if we can. Because fucking A, I am watching this for Sam Beckett and all of his fucking nods. So, fucking A. So, anyway, those are my reviews for the 2 episodes. I hope you like them. Please don't watch this until after you've seen them yourself. And then I'm interested to hear your thoughts. Thank you for all your little feedback on the Lower Decks episodes. I have not watched any Prodigy yet. I would very much like if you gave me some feedback on Leverage Redemption. That comes back next 18th. I think it's the 18th or the 16th. One of those. But it comes back for season 2. And then we'll get into that. Have you seen all 16 Leverage episodes or just the 8? Like, up to the number that I gave you. So yeah, give me a holler when you've got that. I think you're working from home tomorrow on things, because I know we've got NJEA convention horse shit. So yeah, let me know what you think, what you find, how you feel, all that other good stuff. All right.